Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to CWU broadcast. Delighted to have our National Officer Mark Baulch with us. How you doing, Mark?
I'm all right, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, really good, buddy. Nice to have you with us. Mark and I, Mark's requested to come on and have a chat with the delivery members. There's over a week now still left of the national ballot to talk about the importance of voting. Obviously, some of the issues that are going on and some of Royal Mail's attacks on our delivery members in the workplace. We've been collating loads and loads of your frequently asked questions, so we're going to put them to Mark. Before we get into that, though, Mark, I think really just an opportunity for you to set the scene, what's been going on in deliveries, what you think the key issues are, and of course, why members should be whacking the X in the yes box and getting their ballot paper back this week, mate.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the key issues, Chris and everyone, are several issues. First of all, obviously the executive action, which I know, unacceptable position from Royal Mail, imposing unagreed revisions, ripping out attendance patterns, imposing later start times, even though in their own guidance and in discussions with us nationally, they said there's no national steer for them to do that. And that is taking place, in many areas across the country, which is causing people a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. On top of that, obviously, we've got a similar position on customer service points, where I know there's a lot of concern from individuals, understandably so, because of Royal Mail's position on the customer service points, which we've obviously written to the company. We don't agree with their position around closing customer service points, restricting the service offering to customers. The position around the launch of the auto redelivery, and effectively turning Royal Mail into basically it's the same narrative as many of the other issues in the dispute, devaluing the service and making it very similar in broad terms to what other parcel competitors carry out, which is not where we believe Royal Mail needs to go. Royal Mail was better than that, and members are better than that. So, there's a number of areas which at the moment are causing massive concern. Obviously, conversely, we're into discussions over the last few weeks with the company in talks, and those talks are as a result of your strength, your continued support, your solidarity, the overwhelming strength and things that you've demonstrated over the last year or so in the dispute, which has put us back into the room. And we need to keep doing that, which is why, absolutely, and I'm going to, really, really stress this. Anyone who hasn't voted yet, who might even be wavering, not sure which way to vote, or they haven't returned the ballot paper for whatever reason, look, you need to vote. You need to vote yes, but you certainly need to return your ballot paper. We need a massive response. We need a massive yes vote. And we need to continue with your fantastic support, which we know you're going to give us in order to take the issues forward in the dispute and get you the agreement that you absolutely deserve. So it's really important to stress, if you haven't voted yet, make sure you do. Your colleagues in the workplace, if any of them in the right way, we're not talking about putting undue pressure on anybody, but in anyone that, in your discussions, in your tea breaks or your van share partners or whatever, who's saying, well, they're not sure if they're going to continue supporting or if they've sent the ballot papers back, through discussion in the right way, as I say, encourage everyone possibly to make sure that they vote and support the union. It's absolutely critical that you do that. We need a massive yes vote and a massive mandate in order to get you the agreement that you really deserve.
Thanks, Mark. I want to just tease out some of the key issues that the members have been raising. I know you're keen to address those as well, and obviously return to the need for the big yes vote in the ballot. We've been seeing, as we always do, some brilliant meetings across the country, and we were talking just before we went on air about the level of support being so strong. So look, thank you to every member, as you have said in your opening contribution there. A few of the things, though, we are picking up, you've said it, I think the other officers have said it, about Royal Mail's tactics to just effectively demoralise the workforce, demoralise our membership, make everyone think everything's a fait accompli. And one of the things that's happening in delivery offices is an extreme level, and it's a growing level of executive action, changing start times, taking people off their long-term duties, messing routes around, lapsing. And there are an element of the membership totally understandably is saying like, is it going to be too late for us? If we don't, turn this stuff around now, like, is the ballot too late? Why, why are we going to, why should we be supporting the union because they're already doing it? What would you say to that group of members who, let's face it, are under a hell of a lot of pressure?
I would say, first of all, we understand the pressure that you're under. We understand fully how difficult that is and how demoralising that can be. But by becoming deflated, by turning inward, and if people are feeling that that's a defeat, then that is the wrong reaction. The right reaction is to be angry. The right reaction is to channel that anger towards the employer, because it's the employer that's carrying on in that way. It's the employer that's pushing through unagreed changes, and some of it is quite clearly being done through almost like score settling at a local level, where we're seeing some of the proposals, or not even proposals, because they're not party to proper negotiations, so they're effectively imposed changes on, particularly on lapsing and absorption. People are being asked to, books are being collapsed and people are being put under undue pressure. And then when they can't complete, having had that, lapsing plan imposed in the unit, the individuals are then being subjected to threats of not working at the correct rate, not doing what they should do, complete, bullying, unacceptable behaviour, and all the rest of it. Look, we absolutely will stand and fight those impositions, and any agreement that we get, that is one of the conditions. That's why, we've named the action on the 16th and 17th in order to combat that. But also, it's important to stress, because we're still in dispute on all of the other issues that are contained within the dispute. It isn't just about the executive action. We're still in dispute with Royal Mail over the issues which we balloted our members over. So it's important that you don't turn inward. It's important that people stand shoulder to shoulder, and we do everything we can do through our collective strength and our ability to get the employer back around the negotiating table and to effectively sort those revisions out. Look, a lot of the revision plans which Royal Mail are imposing, and we've seen some of the scale of some of the targets and some of the savings. Yes, we recognise that there has been some traffic decline because of the recession, because of the current situation that exists in the country at the moment. We understand that, but when you overlay the productivity improvements that the company are also looking for, and the scale of some of those savings targets in the units, which the company is saying not negotiable, they're saying effectively the quantum, i.e. the targetary plus the timescales involved in the revisions, means that they're not negotiable issues. We will never accept that position, and we will not accept imposition. So part of any settlement that we see is that those revisions have to be reviewed, and where they've been implemented or imposed by executive action, we will be arguing and demanding that they're re-looked at, they're reviewed. And so, things like attendance patterns, things like start times, which is outside of Royal Mail's core proposals as part of their pipeline proposals, which we're in discussion over as well, are made good, and those revisions are made right. I mean, we don't think they'll work. We think the quality of service is going to suffer. So look, we're absolutely saying to our members, we need to stand together. Don't turn inward. Don't let that, because it is a tactic that Royal Mail are trying to use to demoralise people. You said it in the question, Chris, but that is their rationale. That is what they're trying to do. And that's what they've tried to do right throughout this dispute. Every opportunity, virtually following every day of action, every time the union has tried to make a move towards Royal Mail in order to try and settle the dispute, Royal Mail has acted in an inflammatory way. They've done that deliberately for this very reason, we believe, to try and demoralise people. In fact, it's had the opposite effect. I know from being out there and speaking to many of our members and our reps, that it's actually making our members more resolute. It's making them more determined and more defiant in order to get at the deal that you deserve, and to stand against the attacks that Royal Mail are waging on us. So stand strong and stand together.
Thanks, Mark. Spot on. And I think your point about the resolve there is something that's really coming through from the members. Another area that's really coming through of concern is the customer service points from the members. I was hearing some people online posting, I think it was Friday, Saturday, saying that they are hearing unofficially that Royal Mail have had a real kickback from this publicly and maybe about to step back from their plans. So I don't know if that's true or not, but an opportunity for you to give an update on where we are and a message to those people who are basically, flooding our pages saying, are we going to have a job or not, really? Because I mean, the issue there obviously is so numerous. We've got many disabled members, and those, what we're thinking they're going to be kicked out of the company. It's a horrific situation for Royal Mail to have put our members in those areas.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, on their proposals, we met them again. I think it was the week before last. Initially, it was in their best and final offer document before Christmas. Their rationale was their position was to close, I think it was 40%, and the remaining 60% that would stay open would be on vastly reduced opening hours. What they're planning to do is to launch automatic redelivery, which they piloted in, I think it was in one sort of area of the country before Christmas. And effectively what they want to do is and they're going to roll that out, they're saying at the end of February, where effectively if an item doesn't get delivered on day A, then effectively it's automatically offered taken out for redelivery on day B. And they're saying, effectively that will reduce the amount of returns coming back to customer service points. Now, on that specifically, we don't agree with that service. If customers now already want the offer of having an item redelivered, if they're not in on day A, they can request that. Equally, they have the facility at the moment to pick the item up at the customer service point. We believe that the customer service points, particularly for those who are elderly, for those who are vulnerable, maybe not, au fait with technology or whatever, want the ability to continue utilising the service that's in place currently using the customer service point. Now, we've made that position to Royal Mail. We've also written as a union to Ofcom because it's a commitment within the universal service provision. Also, in addition to that, we're going to raise the issue politically with various politicians, and we're looking at doing customer petitions and all the rest of it, getting local branches to write to their MPs, constituency MPs, because we believe it's a devaluation of Royal Mail's customer service offering. We believe it's the wrong direction. Equally, if you push auto redelivery, it effectively will, it's going to devalue and probably heighten the competitors. What they do, we'll use other, we order stuff online and we have stuff delivered by Royal Mail's competitors, and we all know what competitors in the parcel market do. They tend to leave things behind the bins, or they're over your back gate, or all those sorts of bad behaviours, which we don't want Royal Mail to go down. Now, obviously, that shouldn't happen, but there is going to be obviously the pressure on people to not bring items back, which is going to likelihood increase the prospect of those type of behaviours creeping into Royal Mail, because it's human nature. If you know the item after all the various attempts, safe place, deliver to neighbour, etc., have been exhausted, and then you're going to take the item back, and full well that item is going to come back onto the delivery next day for redelivery, there's going to be a good prospect that some people maybe who don't want that, and we would urge people not to do that, of course, but the human nature says, well, if I know I'm going to get that item back tomorrow, I'm going to go that extra mile to leave the item somewhere that perhaps you shouldn't be. Now, Royal Mail have got additional mail's integrity under the Postal Services Act as part of the regulation, which the other competitors don't have. So It's important that our standards are maintained and Royal Mail standards maintained. In terms of the individual's question and the customer service points, yes, we are very concerned about that. What Royal Mail are saying is virtually wholesale, they're going to shut the vast majority of customer service points, and those that remain open will only have a limited service offering to accept mail rather than for items to be picked up. Now, they're saying that they're going to review their position, but certainly, and we asked them to communicate that to their staff, put out communication, because people are very worried and they're very concerned, and we understand that, and we'll be issuing the department some further advice on that, because you're right, many of our members who work in customer service points have ended up working in those customer service points because they've been, had reasonable adjustments. Maybe they're at a certain age or capability where they can't perform a full range of duties, they can't perform a full delivery duty, etc., etc. And our members are concerned in those areas. So we understand that, and we're asking Royal Mail very directly, well, which process are you using? You're saying in one end that there's no compulsory redundancies, which we welcome. On the other, what other workloads are going to be available for people who perhaps can't perform a full range of duties, particularly if the mail centre's 30 miles away and they're going through, changes as well at the moment. There's headcount reduction going on in a number of sites right across the country. What is the opportunity for some people who work in customer service points if they're facing closure? These are very real threats, very real questions. And as I say, we're challenging on a number of fronts, and we will be issuing advice to individuals as well, because we do absolutely share and understand their concern, but equally we don't agree with the direction that the company are taking.
Thanks, Mark. Spot on, and I feel that'd be reassuring. There are lots of members who asked that question. One more question before I give you the chance to round up, and it's around the suspension of reps and members. Obviously, that's right across the union, right across all our businesses and functions. But due to the sheer volume of membership, obviously a whack of those falls into deliveries, where we've got loads of reps who've been suspended, loads of activists, loads of frontline members, and the vast majority of cases like absolute fit ups, actively removing the union and people's voice from the workplace. So I suppose two things really: one, chance for you to give a message to those people who are wrongfully suspended, and two, a chance to give you a message to the members who are missing their voice really in the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, on both things, look, this is absolutely, it's shameful what's going on. I've got some personal friends as well. I know all our reps are comrades, friends, but some of the reps that are currently suspended, and some actually have already been dismissed, are personal friends of my own. And the way that our members are being treated and our reps are being treated is absolutely shameful. This is a tactic through Royal Mail. Once again, this is all about their attempt, the way they see it, to demoralise people and to deflate our reps and our members in the workplace. It's just a shameful act. They're almost using our reps as pawns, as hostages, almost like in a dispute, to try and put us under pressure. But once again, it doesn't have that impact. Yes, it's demoralising to a degree, but it makes us absolutely more defiant and more determined to fight back. And what we absolutely will assure everybody, our reps and our members who are faced with, that charges, many of which are, you're right, trumped up, I think you said, Chris, but absolutely false, absolutely unacceptable. Some of them are ridiculous, and they won't stand the test of full scrutiny. They won't stand the test of any due process, provided, and this is important, and that's what we're fighting for, and that's what we're arguing for in the dispute, that due process is a fair one, where the cases are looked at fairly by people, maybe independently as well, when we're looking at that. So it's really important that our members, and I know when I'm going out there talking to our members at meetings, the determination of our members to rally around and support their reps. And equally, what Royal Mail's tactic is designed to do is to send out fear. It's a fear tactic as well. So it's not only a position they're trying to use it as a bargaining tool and a bargaining chip, which is completely unacceptable. But also, it's a methodology and an approach which is designed to make people fearful. So ergo, if you're rallying around, if you're supportive of your local union rep and you stand together, then you're going to get targeted. That's what it's all about. These tactics have come and have been brought into Royal Mail from people who've come from outside industry, people who've come from, they're union breaking tactics, they're bully boy tactics. There's only one way you can deal with a bully, and that's you stand up and you confront them. What you don't do, and what we will never do as a trade union, is run away and not do that. We will not, run away and not confront these people. It's despicable what's going on, but determined and together, and we will absolutely overcome these challenges. But stand shoulder to shoulder. And if you see people getting bullied and you see people being intimidated in this way, then rally around them in your workplace and make sure that you do everything you can to support each other, because it's really important, particularly at the moment, with mental health. And I know some of the people who've been on suspended now for months on end, and some of them have not even been charged, and they're left to effectively stew at home, and all of that's going through their minds, the uncertainty of that, whether they're going to have a job or not in the future, whether they're going to afford to feed their families, pay the mortgage, all the things that all of us have to worry about, is being put into sharp focus for those people through Royal Mail's unacceptable actions. It's absolutely disgraceful. It's absolutely unacceptable, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we right that wrong and make sure that these people are back in the workplace representing you and members, because you deserve that.
Thanks, Mark. Brilliant. Just a minute or so then, if there's a delivery member or any member really across the Royal Mail Group watching this broadcast, this interview that we've done together, and I just got the ballot paper at home and I'm just a little bit unsure, your message to them in summing up on the need to whack that X in the yes box and get it back, and to join the thousands and thousands of colleagues who've already done that.
Yeah, I can't believe that there would be people in that boat. Maybe there are, and look, we understand that, because it's tough, isn't it? I mean, this is a tough dispute. It's gone on for a long time. People have made sacrifices. They've lost money at a time when none of us can afford to do that. It's a cost of living crisis, and people are hurting. People are struggling to pay bills, put food on the table, and all the rest of it. So look, we understand there are financial pressures on people, but look, you've got to do the right thing. You've got to do the right thing because it matters. We make a difference. This trade union makes a difference. In a way, the fact that we're being attacked in the way that we are being attacked is almost like a badge of honor that kind of confirms how much we matter and the difference we do make in the workplace. Because if we weren't effective, and if we didn't make that difference, the employer wouldn't be so antagonistic towards us. They're trying every trick in the book, and have tried every trick in the book, in order to demoralize us, in order to break our resolve, in order to push through the changes that they want, and and take the industry in a direction which, and our members in a direction which none of us accept. So look, if you are wavering, and I can't believe you are, because I think people by now know exactly which side of the fence they're on, get that ballot paper back now. Only through our collective strength can we overcome. Only through our collective strength can we get you the agreement that you absolutely and totally deserve. So stay strong, get that ballot paper back, support your union, and we'll do everything we can to make sure we support you.
Thank you, Mark. Brilliant. So firstly, thank you for your time. Really, really do appreciate it, mate. Everyone get out tomorrow. Do your gate meetings, do your membership meetings, and get the vote out. You've heard from Mark there. Cannot be more important thing in your working life now than getting your ballot paper back. Vote yes, everyone, and encourage everyone to do the same.